Okay, looks like folks are trickling in here. So I wanted to start by thanking everybody for joining us tonight on our San Antonio webinar. We're really excited to have you guys. We're really excited to have our Texas partners here. San Antonio is one of those markets I love going over. It's definitely one of our busiest markets. You know, we have a ton of folks moving to San Antonio. There's lots of new development. It's always been a great place for steady appreciation, landlord friendly. The list goes on as to why our investors and why tons of folks are moving to that city. So we love to definitely bring everybody up to speed as to some of the newest and latest and greatest and things going on there. So yeah, we look forward to tonight's presentation and having you guys join and tune in here. So let's see. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Vince Tomich. I'm an advisor here at Marshall Reddick. I've been in the real estate industry now for coming up on 9 years. Born and raised here in Southern California. My primary role is I'm a real estate advisor and realtor here. And essentially what the advisor role is to learn as much as I can about each individual investor and help guide you through the investment process. So from the very first call to, explaining what Marshall Reddick does, learning a little bit more about your goals and kind of what your hopes are with investing, setting you up with all of the appropriate people to get pre-approved and identify markets and work through the analysis and essentially, from first call to post-closing, I would be a resource and I would introduce, our key partners, which folks like Gerard and Christina who are on the call tonight, who I'll be introducing shortly. But that's a little bit about my role. I do like to practice what I preach. I'm an investment property owner myself. So as well as an employee, I'm an investor. So I actually own a duplex in New Braunfels. It's going to be one of the markets we're going to be talking about. So like I said, I like to kind of relay a lot of the backstory and information that I draw from is from personal experience as well. But yeah, so I found Marshall Reddick to be, such an incredible resource because, in the beginning of my career, I was a lender and I did a lot of loan business, and that was the business that helped me realize the true value of, leveraging money and being able to, spread your money across other markets, right? I'm in Southern California, and as you guys know that are here, the price point is pretty difficult to make work, and the rents don't necessarily pencil out quite as good in the beginning. So being able to use that leverage and lean on our resources in our out-of-state markets has been just so transformational to for a lot of folks, especially me. So that's a little bit more about myself. Those of you that are unfamiliar with Marshall Reddick, this is always a good time for me to kind of explain who we are and what we do. So we have basically 4 different services that we provide. So we have our real estate brokerage, which is the buying and selling of real estate. Whether it's a primary residence or an investment property, we can help you, list or buy a property. Property management. So 99% of the individuals who end up purchasing an investment property, they do lean on us for our management services. So that includes anything from marketing the property, rent collection, rent disbursement, any kind of maintenance or repair requests, the tax information at the end of the year, basically everything from soup to nuts in terms of owning and operating the property we can handle on your behalf. Then we are a private money lender. So we have borrowers who seek out private money. Now, those are individuals who may not be a good fit for conventional financing for various reasons. Some examples of our typical borrower are individuals who are doing fix and flips on homes. Those individuals who may have more than 10 financed properties. They're no longer eligible for conventional financing, so they may need private lending. Maybe you have a self-directed retirement account. You want to buy a property within that entity. You need a non-recourse loan or a private loan. That would be a home or an option that we can help with. Now, on the flip side to that, We have lenders. So the same borrowers that I just described, we seek out investors to be lenders. So the same way you can invest in property, you can invest in mortgages. And instead of collecting a rent check, you would collect a mortgage payment. Now you can do this on a direct capacity, like you can fund an entire deal, or here our fourth service is you can be part of our mortgage fund. So this is a fund in which it's a pooled investment, multiple different investors or capital partners, we call them, that make up our fund. And our fund does these first position mortgages to various borrowers. And you as an investor can collect a quarterly distribution. It's an alternative to real estate, right? A lot of folks that may feel like real estate, it's not a good time for them, or just in general, this is a good alternative for investing and putting your money to work. So we can speak more about any of those services in detail, but I just wanted to cover, the nuts and bolts of what we do. And again, my role is to help facilitate in any of these capacities. So I would be a resource to help and introduce the appropriate folks along the way. Okay, so our markets. Quickly, I wanted to cover, we're located in 5 markets across the country. We're going to be focusing our presentation tonight in San Antonio, Texas, but I did want you to see where we have a footprint, where we have a presence. In the event you already own property here, or you may be interested in some of these other markets, these are all places that we, Marshall Reddick, can assist and can be a resource to you, whether it's purchase, property management, sale, whatever it may be. We can lend a hand here. Now, how did we choose those markets? How are we coming up and focusing on these markets? And we have taken the time out to vet out specific markets that we want to focus on. I think at the end of the day, we can all agree that not every market across the US is a good market to invest in. So we've picked out some key criteria here that we feel support a good investment market, which includes a strong job market, low vacancy rate, economic diversity, affordability, right? I touched on this earlier, how Southern California tends to be, one of the highest price areas, and it makes investing quite difficult. Landlord friendly, that's so crucial, and you'll notice that in all of our markets outside of course, California, very landlord friendly, strong education, and then of course, last but not least, reliable property management. Sorry, one sec, perfect. Okay, that does segue nicely into property management. So this is really quick for those of you guys that are interested in property management, and most of the individuals that we assist in a purchase to transition into our property management. I just wanted to quickly highlight, our property management, the basic fee structure here. You'll see from a single family at 9% all the way to 30 plus units down to 5%, depending on the makeup of that building or your portfolio, and very straightforward fee structure here that I'd be happy to go into more detail. But really, the nuts and bolts of as the reason is why you need a property manager. It's to know the rental laws, to make sure you're issuing the proper disclosures, and just to keep you out of court. Our goal is to enforce the lease. So that is our sole job as property managers, to enforce the lease. And there's a lot of benefits to using us as a manager in that, we don't charge a management fee when it's vacant. We hire outside vendors for all of our work. So there's no profit center in maintenance or repairs or the facilitating of that work. We don't want to take advantage of an opportunity where you're actually paying or losing money. And in that same process, we are benefiting from that, right? We don't want to have that kind of relationship. So we definitely want to align our goals, and we feel like the way that we've set this up does align our goals and retain keep our owners happy, and in hopes we can earn the business for more and more transactions. So essentially that is the goal with our property management. Happy to go into more detail about any of that. Next I'd like to introduce one of our awesome team members in Texas, Gerard Kolodejcak. Gerard's been with us for quite some time. He's been an incredible resource to myself and many clients. We also have Christina Doriott here, who's longtime Marshall Reddick employee, and oftentimes year over year, one of the top producers. So Gerard, I'll let you do a quick intro of yourself, and then you could pass it over to Christina.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, and as Vince mentioned, I've been with Marshall Reddick for coming up a little over 3 years now. I've been in real estate over 6. Started doing. I was first a loan officer for 5 or 6 years after college, and then even worked in construction project management before getting into real estate sales. So all of that being said, really enjoy working for Marshall Reddick. My wife and I are investors ourselves, so it seemed like kind of a natural progression as I started in real estate and then got into investing, started working with investors and just learning. And now I'm able to work with other people that either want to start investing or are investing right now. So really excited to be working with some other people and helping them, some seasoned investors, some new investors. As mentioned, worked in the real estate, mortgage, construction business since 2004. Happily married to my best friend, dad of 3 amazing little ladies. I love to fish and I love to sing and play guitar. So there's a little bit about me. And now you can find out a little bit about Christina.
Thank you. So yeah, real estate is my passion. I actually worked with Gerard a while back as loan officers. So I have a lot of experience, just like Vince was a loan officer. I've lived in San Antonio all my life, so I'm familiar with all the parts of San Antonio. So is Gerard. He's lived in San Antonio all his life. I've also was a mortgage production manager for a while, and I've been in real estate since 1999. Actually, I became an agent in 2014 and love it. I just love it. I specialize with investment properties, but I also do primary, but mainly investment. And I'm married, a military wife, 17 years. I got 2 awesome kids. So let me go to I'm going to go to the next slide, or if you want to do the slide for me, Vince, because it's not working for me. Okay, that's the picture of our different offices that we have. So we have an office in New Braunfels and San Antonio, Clarksville, Cape Coral, and you see this is our team. So these are our brick and mortar office with our team, and it's just been growing. We've been adding new staff, we're adding more properties. It's just been a really, really good past couple of years. We've seen a lot of growth, and we just got into our new office in San Antonio, which is great. So I'm excited about that. And let me see here. Sorry, okay, yeah. So why Texas and why Central Texas? So as far as Texas goes, I don't know why this is going backwards. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to go back to the slide.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, now I'm going to use my arrows. Okay. So Texas is the 2nd highest population state in the USA. We keep getting more people that keep moving. A lot of people are moving from California to Texas and Florida and all other parts. And there's a lot of good reasons. We're landlord friendly, first of all. The laws are completely for the favor of the homeowner. And then lowest market default rate through COVID, which was really interesting to see. We did, like, a lot of our tenants and stuff, most of them were paying on time, and the job market was still very, very good in San Antonio. Central Texas also, it has minimal disaster zones. So San Antonio particularly, we don't really have like hurricanes. We hardly get snow, although we did get that snowstorm a couple of years ago. But overall, I mean, we'll get some rain, some hail, but we're not really prone to like major disaster weather, which is great. It keeps your insurance rates down and you're not having to worry as much as other markets. Texas also has a very diversified workforce. We're also known as military city. So we have 3 military bases in San Antonio. So that's really good, healthy to have a lot of that military tenant pool. because they pay on time. You know, they take care of the property, and they tend to stay as long as they're deployed or stationed, anywhere from 3 to up to 5 years at a time. And then we have a huge presence in the medical center. We have a lot of medical, you know, medical offices and hospitals. A lot of people come from all over the country to get specialized surgeries here. So we have a lot of tenants that are nurses, x-ray techs. And then also we're real big with, we're growing with tech. There's a lot of IT companies. Rackspace is one of them, and then we're huge with financial, like Wells Fargo has a fulfillment center here, so does Citibank, a lot of insurance companies, USAA is one of our large insurance companies. So it's overall very healthy to invest in San Antonio because of the job market, the good tenant pool, and the landlord laws. So, but yeah, this is a map, or yeah, this shows like a map of San Antonio, New Braunfels, and Austin, and it shows all the properties that we manage. So of course, San Antonio, we have the most, where we manage the most properties, but New Braunfels is the corridor located in between Austin and San Antonio, and there's so much growth happening there. It's just blending in like what happened with Fort Worth and Dallas. This is going to be just New Braunfels blending into Austin and San Antonio. It just keeps filling in with each other, and they're adding more properties, they're building more retail, and a lot more shopping. So it's a really good, you know, to invest in San Antonio, New Braunfels, even Austin. So this shows a history of the appreciation, and it goes all the way past back to 1989. So like it shows back in 1989, average home cost around $75K, and then it shows how the appreciation went up gradually. We're not very volatile like other markets, which is good. We're conservative, but we're steady, and we continue to appreciate even during the 08 and 2009, 2010, when the market crashed. We barely dipped below 3%. And then we obviously went up pretty fast this past couple of years. So that's another good reason why it's safe to invest in a market like San Antonio. And this shows our major employers. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, really quick. I just wanted to touch on one thing with the previous slide. I'm going to back up one slide for everybody really quick. 1 second here. So one of the things I want to point out too is when anybody's looking on our website, you're going to notice there's a property class designation on every property on our website. And I just wanted to highlight really quick, that is based off of the median home price in that area. So that median home price, and we have an ebook on this whole concept, but basically that median home price is that 100% mark. So, you know, for this, for the case here, it's 337,700. So anything from 100% of that number, so that number up to 130% of that number, we consider A-class properties. And from 100% of that number to 80% of that number, B class. And you can see those blocks are designated. So whenever you see a property on the website, a lot of it is price driven as to determine the property class. There are other elements that do designate property class, but I wanted you guys to see this. And as Christina touched on, one of the main drivers to why a lot of folks invest in San Antonio is its safety and consistency from an appreciation standpoint. Besides the last 2 years, there hasn't been any years of double-digit appreciation or depreciation. Even in the most volatile times in 2007 or 2008, 9, and 10, right? You'll see there's very minimal downside here, and you can see it's been a great place to protect and grow your capital through real estate. So just wanted to point that out. I'll let Christina continue on for some of the top employers in San Antonio as well.
Yeah, so USA is one of the huge employers. And there's a lot of people that work remotely and on site, and they're huge. And then Wells Fargo, like I said, I actually worked at Wells Fargo and USAA. They're huge. They have a lot of it's not just the bank, it's actually, they have a huge campus where they have loan officers, processors, the foreclosure department. I mean, just so much business in that. And then Amazon's real big. Amazon, I just see so much land being bought, and Amazon has so many, especially going towards, New Braunfels and Seguin. There's a lot of distribution centers out there, manufacturing companies, and Walmart. Oh my God, we have a lot of distribution centers in Texas and Walmart, in San Antonio particularly. HEBs are kind of like our Ralph's, it's a huge grocery store. It's our most popular grocery store, and they pay really well to their employees, and they have a lot of new grocery HEB stores popping up. And then of course that U.S. Army is not just U.S. Army, but we have the Air Force as well. So we have the military. So that's why we're known military city, but it's just to show how healthy our job market is. And it's continuing to add more companies keep moving here and keep buying land to build. Here's the San Antonio cheat sheet, which shows you kind of like a big snapshot of the different parts of the city. There's a northwest side where Six Flags is. La Cantera is kind of like a high-end shopping center, tons of restaurants, nice high-end mall, like a high-end mall. That's also located near Six Flags. They're right next to each other. It's across from our University of Texas at San Antonio. This is going to be a higher end area. So, the prices are going to be higher, but we also like to focus on the far west side of San Antonio, which is going to be SeaWorld. That is booming, and it's just, so many new development there, and that's very affordable, and the schools are really good. Now, the south side of town, Gerard knows more about that because he actually lives in Southtown. It's been nice. You've been seeing a lot of new properties being built, different. It's more, I think, like when you go downtown, you're going to get more of those, apartments type condos. But if you're outside of downtown near Southtown, then you're going to see a lot of nice homes that they're rebuilding, like they're flipping to like nice little small homes, and then the tall and skinny homes. So, and I see some fourplexes and duplexes being built out there too. The north side, the north central, is going to be more where the airport's located at. You're going to have older homes out there. You're not really going to see much development in the north central because it's probably already been established. So we like to focus on the far west side, which is SeaWorld area, and then the northeast side of San Antonio, which is going to be like Converse. You're going to have like IKEA. You have a lot of businesses out there, 2 military bases. So the strong parts is the far west side and the northeast side, and then the New Braunfels up to the Austin corridor. Those are the strong, what we're seeing right now, do very well. And I'm going to hand this off to Gerard. And Gerard, if you want to talk about this awesome tech, I think this is a new tech company that just opened up, a tech center, and I'll let you talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, there's some great things going on in San Antonio that between now and 2030, there's just a large number of projects that are going on that as an investor, really make me excited about not only living here, but teaching people about investing. We all know that technology goes to the areas that are developing and growing. Right now, we know cybersecurity, things of that sort, are just, it's one of the top industries in anything tech right now. Pretty much if you're in an area that is tech driven, that there's a lot of growth happening in that area and people want to be there. And one of the more important things that Christina mentioned earlier is location. So San Antonio is just south of Austin, and the I-35 corridor is what connects the two cities. As a market, this is being compared to the Dallas-Fort Worth market, which is already combined as a mega metro and has seen fantastic benefits for investors. So anybody who's investing knows, hey, if they can get in before all this happens, then that's where you really want to invest. So there's a lot of attention right now between San Antonio and Austin. Austin's cost is about double when it comes to cost of entry when you're purchasing a home or an investment property. And so people really tend to look at San Antonio. And Austin, their population is much less than San Antonio. San Antonio has a lot more room not only to grow, but it feels like a lot less congested in most of the areas of San Antonio. So you still kind of have that small town feel with a lot of great development that's happening, but a lot of big things that are happening. And one of the reasons, Christina, you mentioned New Braunfels earlier. Vince, you mentioned that as well. New Braunfels is almost in the center of San Antonio and Austin. You have a lot of businesses that are targeting between New Braunfels and San Marcos, a small area right in the center on the I-35 corridor. And they're really looking at that area and saying, hey, we want to be here because we want to be able to pull talent from Austin and pull talent from San Antonio. And there's a lot of things going on. Former Mayor Henry Cisneros has done a lot of work. He's 70 years old now, but he's still working on economic development, trying to bring in a rail system that's going to take you from Austin to San Antonio and stop on the way. There's a lot of development that's happening. And so these are just a couple projects you can see in this picture, 1,900 acre platform southwest of downtown. This is kind of in the area, the tech port area, which is great, Port San Antonio. There's a new concert venue that's out there that's used for anything from, speaking events, gatherings, conventions, and then every now and then you'll find one of your favorite music acts that's there. They have a whole section in the gaming where kids go in there and they really challenge them and even teach them things like, hey, if you really enjoy gaming, why don't you make this a career? And we can talk to you about, putting you in some sort of IT or tech classes or, setting them in the right direction. So it's a really great area. So, a lot has come in. It says here over 80 tenant customers employ 18,000 people in their unique air, rail, and highway served property. So a lot's coming on in from the tech standpoint. Sante 51, Northeast San Antonio. This is a 51 acre development where the county is going to have a lot of offices. There's going to be a lot of restaurant, retail, entertainment, medical offices, 2 hotels, and green space. And this kind of falls in line of what we were talking about. There's some major areas of growth that we focus on, like Christina mentioned. The west side of San Antonio is seeing some fantastic growth with a new highway that opened up that connected some new areas. And it connected right behind an area called the Alamo Ranch area. This area really, really took off over the last 10, probably 12 years. And it blew up so much that they've tried to almost annex from San Antonio, become their own municipality. And they have the resources to be able to do that. It was such a success that behind the Alamo Ranch, a little bit further west, northwest, the Hunters Ranch area and Highway 211 is now connecting that area. And as soon as Highway 211 opened, all you saw was development. Everywhere you look, 360 degrees all the way around you. Companies were already out there developing before this highway was even done. They knew that that was an area that was growing for San Antonio. It's right by Lackland Air Force Base, fairly close to it. UTSA's out there, SeaWorld's out there, Fiesta, Texas. There's so much development that's going on out there. And already established as well. Highway 90, which is on the west side, is one of the least congested highways. It can get you to our inner loop, which is 410, and our outer loop 1604 in a very quick amount of time. You can be on the west side of San Antonio and get to downtown in about 15 to 20 minutes most times of the day, which is great. So the west side there's a lot of attention happening right there. Anything that's along the I-35 corridor on the northeast side of San Antonio, where that goes up north towards Austin, is a very attractive area. And so this northeast area right here, where all this development, the county offices, everything is going, this is kind of the start from San Antonio, the northeast side, where it's going north towards Austin. So this is going to be a great area. We do have some options of duplexes in this area. We're not going to feature them tonight. We have so many great options. We're really just going to hit on some really key properties, but we have more in our inventory as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. This next project is very interesting. This is actually, we have a subdivision tonight, a community we're going to focus on in Buda, Texas, and that is just south of Austin. So even though Austin, the costs are higher in Austin, it's a very highly sought out area. One of our top builders that we work with, we've done multiple communities with them. We're very, very excited to be working with them on this community. You know, we're at the point right now where we've had so much success with helping investors find the right properties and working with the right builders, that at this point, this has been probably one of the stronger builders we've worked with. They have a great product. They honor their product. I mean, before you move into this property, they do their best to make you extremely happy with the final product. They honor their warranties. And it goes to show that we've just done so many communities with them. And these are communities that, you know, the smaller ones might be 20 to 40 duplexes, but on some of these, they're 100 plus. And the quality of what they put out for a luxury duplex is just exciting. You'll see in some of these pictures. But as we finish the conversation, if you all want to move in, Vince will tell you how we can set up some phone calls, spend some one-on-one time with you. Christina and I work on our projects together. So you get two agents working on your behalf. We really enjoy, we work great as a team. But a little bit about this section is, so New Braunfels is about halfway, as we mentioned earlier, between San Antonio and Austin. Buda is just south of Austin, right in the middle, which shows you how much we have outside investors that are coming in. They bought up 1,900 acres. As you see, I-35 is right here in the middle. They bought on both sides of I-35. This is an area that is booming, and you can see why we're so interested in this. But I mean, what you've got here in this 1,900 acre development, you have future residential schools, you have light industrial, commercial, mixed commercial, parks, trailways, a midtown district. I mean, they pretty much are setting up their own municipality here. When you buy 1,900 acres and you already have a plan for the entire thing and you know what's going on and you're splitting I-35 corridor, this is really exciting. It's going to draw a lot of attention out to this way. Vince, one of the things Christina and I were talking about earlier as well, there's a couple areas in Bastrop, which is just a little bit, it's a little bit east of this area right here. And in San Marcos, which is just a little bit south, there was 200 acres in each one of those small municipalities where they're going to be building major motion picture film studios. And, you know, they're just more and more people are figuring out that, you know, hey, let's go place our businesses that we've always had in these areas that have a higher cost of living. Let's place them here in an area that maybe has more affordable cost of living. So there's so much attention coming to this step. And this is just a little piece of it. So this is a great project to highlight. Really excited about that. But as we go on, I wanted to talk a little bit about some examples here. Let's talk about numbers. And in this market, something you're going to notice here is you have some properties that have a little bit of cash flow. You have some properties that may have a negative cash flow. There's properties that I, you know, when Christina and I have a conversation or Vince has a conversation with you, we're going to really just try and understand what is your strategy that you're going to be working. How are you investing? Are you a new investor, a seasoned investor? Are we going to, you know, some people call me and say, Gerard, we're looking for a property and we need appreciation. We want something that we know 15 years from now is going to be the right move. Cash flows, we know in this market, it may not cash flow, but we want something that's going to be great. We'll refinance that as soon as rates, you know, go down again. There's that. I have people coming and saying, hey, I need to supplement some income. I need something that cash flows. There are great properties out there both ways. But what I'm going to show you today, we're going to show some that cash flow and some that are going to be appreciation plays that are just in fantastic areas. And we'll talk about those. So first one we're going to talk about, and we're not going to weigh real heavy on single family homes today. But we're going to kind of show you that there are some possibilities out there. Now this community that Christina and I found and have been working with is a little bit of a unicorn. You know, most single families right now are not cash flowing, and they're still great properties to hold if you're going to hold them long term. This happens to be with one of our more cost-efficient builders, Lennar Homes. Maybe y'all have heard of them. They're a tract builder. They're nationwide. They build a really good home for an investor. People rent these homes. They do great. Christina and I were looking. We found a community that is along the I-35 corridor that's just outside of a community that we sold an entire, with the same builder that for most of these multifamily that we're talking about. It was called Sydney Cove, and it was in the Cibolo Shirts area. And there's not one person in this company that can't speak more highly about that community. We had no problem selling these and leasing them out, $17.50 per unit for the duplex unit. And I mean, they just looked really nice. They were great. The area was great. What was great about that community is it was in the Cibolo Shirts area. The schools there are just really, really attractive, for a lot of reasons, academic, sports. I mean, just a great area, very clean area. And just outside of San Antonio along that I-35 corridor. So as Christina and I were going through the communities with the different builders, one of the things about this is your cost of entry that you have on these properties is very affordable. Right now, when we started selling this community, they were only selling, and it was only 3 months ago that we started selling this community. Some of the properties were in the low 200s, and you see that price $246,999. That's jumped up in 3 months because they've had such good demand in this area. So this is technically Marion, Texas. It says New Braunfels there because it's kind of right on the edge, but it's technically Marion, which is right on the city limit of Cibolo Shirts, and the other part of the city limit is New Braunfels. So sometimes it'll put you in there at New Braunfels. That's why it may say that. But it's actually Marion, Texas. Marion, Texas has a tax rate of 1.67%. They share the same schools that are attractive with Cibolo and Shirts, and this community had some really nice amenities. So as Christina and I were going through that, sitting there looking at the numbers saying, hey, this actually cash flows. And so we've had some investors that have been very interested in this. So as a single family home, just under $250,000, they put 30% down. If we look here to the right, we'll talk a little bit as we go down. Again, list price, putting 30% down. Initial repair costs on these, about $5,000. And we say that because, again, these prices come less than $250,000. You're going to have some repairs or some things to really bring it up to rental code. Where in some of the homes you're paying $300,000+ for, you may not have to do these things, but doing the math, your cost of entry is still really light, and you have a great area, so people are taking advantage of this. So $5,000 will get you. They normally have a fridge, some window shades. We'll put a garage door opener in there, probably a couple ceiling fans. We get all that done and basically have it rent ready up to Texas code. And then closing costs in there, fairly inexpensive. Lennar will normally, if you use their lender, Lennar will normally get you a really nice interest rate. Investors have been getting the high fives with them, and they'll even cover some closing costs on top of that. So, so your investment capital needed here, you're looking at about $86,000 all in on the cash. Gross rent is on this one is about $1,850. This is on the left side there underneath the picture. You're going to see this was built in 2024, 1,627 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, single story, very roomy. Rooms are good size. We typically don't want anything less than a 10 by 10 in these rooms. Some people might use that as a flex room. They might use it as a desk area, maybe an office, maybe a nursery for small child. But for the most part, these are pretty open floor plans, really nice. Living room, dining room area, kitchens, very open. And then the rooms are all together, single story. Good sized backyard. They do not come with irrigation systems. Most of the time in San Antonio, we find ourselves in water restrictions anyway. Usually works out enough to where they'll put sod in for you. If you can get that sod to take, it's a Bermuda grass for the most part, kind of does its own thing. but we tend to be a little bit hot out here in San Antonio. But good thing is these houses have AC. Vince, y'all use AC out there in California?
Rarely.
Not as much as we do.
Right, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But we love our city, and we love getting out to the rivers and all the lakes and everything else. So we have a good time out here. So let's talk a little bit about, now we know the rents, we know the price. Let's talk about some of the fixed expenses here. So mortgage payment at 5.99% for this loan amount, be just a little over $1,000. Taxes, again, this is low for this area. I mean, 1.67%. We're estimating maybe about $281. Taxes adjust, we'll be happy. We'll spend a little bit of time when we get on a call with y'all. We talk through how the taxes work, so we'll get into some more details once we get some one-on-one time with y'all. Insurance is a little less than $100 a month. These are insurance rates that we've seen even in the last month. So these are pretty accurate numbers here. Management fee is 9%, so it's $153.18 per month. HOA under $100. That includes in this community. It's a community pool. I believe they have a green belt, and they also have it's either a park or they have a trail. I'll have to double check on that. But utilities and landscaping, those are paid by the tenants. That's in their lease agreement. So your fixed monthly expenses, $1645.27. If you're charging $1850 per month in rent, you have a positive after fixed expenses of $204.73. I'm going to spend a little time on this one again as we finish these numbers here on the right side. We'll go through a little bit quicker on the other examples, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick everything out a little bit better. The estimated maintenance, now below these are variable expenses. These are not expenses you're going to see every month, but it's estimating 8% of rent on maintenance. Well, we know this is a brand new home. It has a 1-2-10 warranty, builder warranty, 1 year on the labor, 2 year on the mechanical, and 10 year on the structural. You really shouldn't be seeing these kind of maintenance fees. So that, that's an estimate in there. It's a pretty conservative estimate. Estimated vacancy, 8% of rent. The good thing about this is people like new homes. They like the new, the shiny, everything good. Our goals are always, once you come in, obviously you don't have a mortgage payment right away, but we want to start getting the property ready, and then we want to start getting somebody in there so we can get you as close as possible, hopefully not making a payment. But if it does, what this 8% of rent does is that actually says, hey, let's add another 30 days on there and just assume, it might take a little bit longer. So between the 30 days plus the amount of time that you don't have your payment, we're working really hard on getting somebody in there. And Vince mentioned something earlier about our property management. Understand that we work really hard, and our criteria is pretty strict, but we get enough traffic because we market it right, that when we get people in, we want to find somebody that's going to be a good tenant for you and hopefully stay in there for a while. And that's why when Vince mentioned earlier that we don't charge you fees unless we have a tenant in there. So we have some skin in the game. We are working on trying to make money when you make money, and we also don't have our own vendors going out there trying to make, like Vince made, a profit center. We're not doing that. We're more of your gatekeeper than your profit center when it comes to the maintenance. If somebody calls and says, like in San Antonio, it's very common when the weather changes over to have a tenant call over and say, hey, our AC is not cooling. And our team sitting behind their desk will say, okay, do me a favor, just either text me or email me a picture of your air filter. And by that time, they're looking over and going, wow, this is pretty dirty. Are y'all going to come change this? Like, nope, that's in your lease agreement. Go pick one up at Home Depot or Lowe's or something, and then go get that in. So we try and do things to be the gatekeeper for y'all. So that talks a little bit about variable expenses. The last one on there is the leasing fee. This assumes you'll have somebody in there 18 months. This breaks it down monthly. As Vince mentioned earlier, it's 50% of 1 month's rent. I've seen that as high as 2 for 2 months rent. Again, property management, we're trying not to make that a profit center, more of a convenience for you guys. So it's only 50% of one payment. That's breaking it down on a monthly basis. So after estimated, this number will normally show up negative in almost any investment that you have. at this time in the market. But again, these are not expenses that you're going to see all of the time, but we do like to talk about them in case you have those. So at the bottom here, you're going to see a 15-year projected profit. That includes any cash flows. That includes how much money that your tenant estimated will pay down in that 15 years. That also includes things like appreciation and even the selling costs that you're going to run into when you turn around and sell. So that's very well thought out number there, and that could be a true number, that if you invest capital of $86,000 up front, that your 15-year projected profit could be $204,000. You know, it's close to 3 times as much what you put in.
I could just jump in here, Gerard, and just mention that it doesn't include increases in rent. So each year upon lease renewals, we tend to increase the rent usually by $100. So if they're paying $1,800 a month for a year, the next year we renew their lease and they'll pay $1,900. Then the next year, $2,000. So after 15 years, this is assuming they're paying the same rent for 15 years, which is not likely, obviously. So it's actually going to be a lot higher. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because some of these fees are also driven, Christina, by, you know, they're assuming that somebody stays in on those leasing fees. They're assuming that somebody stays in there for 18 months at a time. Well, yeah. We're in areas that are close to these military bases. Just as an example, some people come in on 3 to 5 year orders, and when they come in and they get into a house that they like and they're happy with the management company, they're happy with the owner and how they react with everything, it's very common to see some of those people staying there 3 to 5 years. Again, those are fees that, if we're assuming every 18 months here, we're trying to be as conservative as we can to get these numbers as real as possible. And we do try and increase those rents like Christina mentioned. The one thing about that though is that we just don't, we sometimes have to watch the market, and we'll increase the best we can, but the idea is to keep these people happy. So that's what we're working on. So we spent some time on this one example. I'm going to kind of go through pretty fast on the next ones, but let's look at some of the multifamily. So on the multifamily, here's the next one here. This is a fourplex. This is in that Hunter's Ranch area on the west side that we were talking about earlier. And there are some incentives here. So 4 units, right around 1,250 square feet, pretty close to about 5,000 total square feet. About $1,250 per unit, right around there. These are on acre lots. These are renting right now at $1,525 a unit. The incentives on this builder is giving a 4.25% interest rate, which is a 10-year fixed ARM. Most people, even in a 30-year fixed mortgage on average, refinance within 7 years. So the investors have really taken to that 4.25% rate. So with that being said, you'll look here on the side as we go down, monthly income on this, you're going to see a green area, and you're going to see a straight down line under the $1,050,000, and then a line off to the right there. Let me explain these 2 lines. So the one on the left, with all the numbers on the left, where it says monthly income 982.51, that's based on the incentives. So the 4.25 is going to make you cash flow, but there's 6 months free property management if you were to pull the trigger on this investment. As of right now, we're offering that. So in those first 6 months, as you fill up, 982.51 is what your estimated cash flow is per month. After the 6 months runs out, and then you start paying to the right there, you'll see you'll be paying it'll be your 8%. At that point, you're still cash flowing after fixed expenses of $533.55. Great investment. You're investing at the top, $341,700. After 15 years, you're above $900,000. You really want to look at that number on the right there. That's probably a little bit more accurate, because again, the one on the left is going to show you the numbers on the bottom for the 6 months of the free property management. One on the right is going to be a little more true for the rest. But again, as Christina mentioned, it's conservative. So the next property we'll talk about here, this is in New Braunfels. So again, between New Braunfels and Buda, a lot going on there along the I-35 corridor. This is again with a builder that we've worked with on a number of communities. They've been really good for us. These duplexes in New Braunfels run 545,000. Investment capital needed about a little over $180,000. They rent for about $16.50 each unit. They're running a special for 4.75% on a 10-year fixed. And on this one, you go down, take a look at your cash flow here after fixed expenses, 185.90, 15-year projected profit, 443,655. I mean, great investment, 15-year annual ROI, 16.37%.
And
There's
Gerard,
more options.
oh, I was just going to say one thing I want to jump in on and explain here is, when it comes to the variable expenses that you've touched on, the vacant or the maintenance on new construction, we can typically even downgrade that to like 5%, given that a lot of it's covered by a warranty. So we're being a bit conservative here with these 8% figures. I think it's safe to leave the 8% for vacancy. 8% vacancy on an annual basis equates to about 30 days, so about a month. So you have to think that's probably fair with turnovers and things like that. But I would definitely argue that maintenance we can bring down a bit for those of you that are, trying to figure out how we got to these numbers. I'll tell you though, when I touched on property classes earlier, we do have an ebook. We'll show you where to find that. But the property class have an assumed maintenance and vacancy charge next to them. And that's why you're seeing these numbers. A-class properties are associated with 8% maintenance and vacancy based on our calculations. And Gerard kind of has referenced this profit figure, and this is something that we can dive into more on a one-on-one, but this is assuming after a 15-year hold with appreciation, principal pay down, and then the cash flow that you're accumulating, if any here. So in this case, it's actually we're showing after total expenses a negative. So this is actually working against us, this cash flow, and even with those things considered, that profit is still there on the table, just FYI.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vince, because again, when we spend the one-on-one time with our investors here that joined us today, you're right. I mean, you're showing that negative 433.77. That's assuming that we're going to hit all these numbers, and there's plenty of ways for these numbers to be reduced, but we're assuming that, and that's included in that 15-year profit number. That really is important to note there, that if we can improve any of these variable expenses, if we can improve the interest rate, there's ways right there for us to improve all of this. So that's a great point to make, that all that does is their 15-year projected profit, and where Christina said that you could raise the rents as well. These numbers are meant to be conservative. So when you look at that bottom line 15-year projected profit and the ROI, if you can be comfortable with these numbers, they can only get better with the other scenarios. So it's a great point. Great point. I'm going to move on to the next property here. So this is the one in Buda. This is just south of Austin. Now you're going to notice with these, this is our largest duplex that we currently have in our inventory right now. It's 1,800 square feet per side, 2-car garage, backyard, covered patios. I mean, it really, really extravagant, nice looking duplexes. They're beautiful in person. They're huge. Your price on these $649,500. Rents on these are above $2,000. You'll see that gross rent there at $4,590 actually is what we're projecting right now. And these actually at 6.75% interest rate. These are actually cash flowing after fixed expenses, which is great. Again, brand new. This is normally when you're buying in this area, a suburb of Austin, you're almost always expecting that you're going to have a negative cash flow on something like this. But this one just works out, which is great. So again, you're at 6.75 interest rate. There's a good possibility that you'll pass that. We're going to talk here a little bit about our preferred lender, but he's got a program that within 5 years of, if you use our preferred lender, within 5 years, if rates drop, that he will do an extremely reduced cost refinance for you. He wants your business. When you guys meet the guy, you have a conversation with him. Don't drink coffee before, because you'll feel like you had a cup of coffee by the time the conversation's over. He is amazing and so passionate about what he does. And he'd like, not only to meet you, but he'd love to, work with you going forward. And that's what we try and work here. Any of these, if you work with this lender, he offers that on any of these products here. So again, a lot of opportunities to buy this at the right price. And also keep in mind, so Amanda Park, which we're going to discuss next, but this is also Emma Park. This builder, this is the brand new, like the first few duplexes that are being offered in these two communities. And there's always something to be said about being in the first phase, because you normally get it by phase two. They're normally raising the prices and doing things, and the people who buy early really, really benefit from all of that. So there's a lot to be said. This is a great property. Again, time-wise, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. But 15-year projected profit, 573 on a duplex, 18.53%. Again, those numbers can only get better. So let's go on to this next property. This is Amanda Park. Okay, so same builder that you saw in those really big, nice duplexes over there in Buda, just south of Austin. But these are on the west side. They're just down the street from the fourplexes. The beauty about these is you have a lot of attention coming. These are on a corner street, a main street. They are directly across the street from an elementary school, a brand new elementary school, which is right next door to the middle school. And probably about half a mile down, you can see all the cranes. They're currently building the high school, all right across the street from this duplex community that's just opening. So we're really excited about this. As you can see here, the monthly income after fixed expenses, it's a negative cash flow, $154.61 a month. This is absolutely something that you want to put in your portfolio as an appreciation play, because as you can see here, you put in $182,000, $865. Your 15-year projected is $363,951, 13.27 on the ROI. I can tell you right now, it's the same thing. If you can get in there, the 6.75% interest rate is where it's at. If we can even get that down 2 points, and I don't think it's too far off to think that we can get to 5% or 4.75% again for investors. I don't think we'll see the high twos or the low threes, maybe in my lifetime, but I do think it's fair enough to say that we can get down there. And again, you can always buy down the rates too. So there's some options there that you can work with, but this is absolutely a play on appreciation and a great property for a long-term hold in a booming area where growth is coming. And just fantastic area. Can't say enough about it.
Can I just add something real quick about that negative cash flow? Yeah. It's not going to be negative for like it'll be negative probably like the first couple of years, like maybe the first 2 years. And then the third year, because as we increase rents upon lease renewals, you're going to start seeing cash flow as we increase rent. So like year 5 or year 8, you're probably going to have like $400 to $500 monthly cash flow by then, because we're going to have, been increasing the rents. And then like Gerard said, if rates do drop, a little bit, you can definitely refinance. We like to say, what is it? Marry the price and date the rate, because you can always refinance later, but you're getting the low price now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Vince, did you want to talk a little bit about our cup of coffee, Reed, when you have a conversation with him?
Yeah. So you described Reed perfectly. Reed's been with us for over 15 years. He's an awesome partner of ours. He's the one that helps facilitates all of these very aggressively priced rates with the builders and secures this financing. He's company's licensed in all 50 states. I highly encourage having a conversation with him, even if you've already have a relationship with an existing lender. So this is a little bit about Reed and his company at CMG. So happy to make that connection for you guys. And then as we close out here, for those of you, obviously, you're here to learn and to get education on this market. We want to provide as much data and as much useful information as we can. We put together these market analysis and these data packets that allow you to look at the demographics and some of the some of the more intricate parts as to why one may want to invest in San Antonio. So you can find that here at marshallreddick.com/San Antonio. I'm happy to send anyone one of these or market data packets, or even show you where to find them. And then as we close out, I've referenced the ebook multiple times. This is an awesome read too. It's more of like a long pamphlet, but it does show you guys how we derive these property classes, what that means to you as an investor, what to expect from those property classes in terms of results, whether it's cash flow or appreciation or a little bit of hybrid of both. So this is a great read too for those of you that are looking to get more info. I wanted to thank you guys so much for taking the time. It's always a pleasure to have you folks on. I always have to give a great round of applause to our teammates in Texas, Gerard and Christina. It's a little later out there, and I know you guys have families, and we really appreciate you spending the time with us tonight, telling us all about San Antonio. This is my contact information. If you guys do have questions, I will be doing follow-up calls this week. So I'm happy to make connections, answer questions, connect you with Gerard and Christina, connect you with Reed, whatever it is that we can help you on your goals here, we'd be happy to. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to connecting with you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.